Hello, hello, everybody. How you doing, Shatika? How you doing, Joshua? Hey, y'all. What it be like? Well, I am a 62-year-old woman, thankful to the higher power that I'm still alive. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on, y'all. Let me turn down the TV. I can remember when. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. Let me speak to everybody. Shatika, Joshua, Gwen, Michelle, Flawless, and she. I could remember in the year of 1989 hearing about these two little young boys that was on trial for unaliving their parents. The first trial was a hung jury. They retried them again. I think it was a year or two later, and they were found guilty. But I could remember those boys sobbing on the stand, saying that their father had molested, had been doing it their entire lives, and they were tired. Back then, nobody believed those boys. They thought that these were two little rich kids that wanted to unalive their parents for the money. The judge that was on the case at that time, who cannot be found at this time, ain't that something? Like, where is he at? Where are you at, man? Where are you at? The judge did not allow evidence to be entered into the case where you had evidence that these boys had been abused. Things that make you go, Then you come to find out the Menendez brothers, their father was an RCA record producer. Makes sense? You know, all of these people in the entertainment business. He was a producer, music industry. The father had been sued by one of the former band members of the group Menudo. These are 80 and 90 groups. Some of you might have not been born in. But he had alleged that the father had raped him. Okay? So, we're going to listen to what happened today. Oh boy. Here we go with my sorry, slow internet.
One side of the story, but another member of the Menendez family. That is one side of the story, but another member of the Menendez family sees it very differently.
He thinks the brothers need to stay in prison.
Eyewitness News reporter Rob Hayes live in Beverly Hills to tell us who he is and why he feels that way. Rob.
Yeah, not everyone believes Lyle and Eric Menendez should be released. One of those people is Milton Anderson, not a very well-known name, but his sister, Kitty Menendez, was shot and killed by the brothers in this house. An impressive sight today outside the courthouse where the Menendez brothers were sentenced. Extended family members of the brothers surrounded by a sea of media asking for the two to be released from prison. But not every family member feels that way.
Mr. Anderson firmly believes that his nephews were not molested. He believes that that is a fabrication, and he believes that the motive was pure greed.
Kathy Katie represents Milton Anderson, the brother of Kitty Menendez. This photo of the siblings taken just 3 weeks before Kitty was shotgunned to death by her two sons in 1989. Katie says Anderson, who is now 90 years old, wants the brothers to remain imprisoned and serve their life sentences at the very least for killing his younger sister.
At the time of the trial, at least according to the Court of Appeal opinion, one of the brothers said that killing her was, quote, a mercy killing.
The latest move to release the brothers comes after the attorney for the two submitted new evidence he claims helps prove their father sexually abused them. But Katie says that was filed over a year ago and that District Attorney George Gascon is now using the case to drum up political support as he nears the election.
Mr. Anderson just wants to make sure that whatever decision is made, that it's not politically driven, that it really is done because of the right reasons.
Katie also says against California law, Anderson has been brushed aside by the DA's office, denied input on the fate of his sister's killers. Gascon's office declined to comment on Anderson's lack of involvement.
Mr. Anderson understands that he's not going to be the one who's going to be able to make the final decision, but he wants to make sure that the person who does make that final decision doesn't forget about him.
So, you know, we can understand, you know, that was his sister. You know, he don't want to believe, you know, what happened. And, you know, God be with him. I mean, I guess it would be sort of hard, you know, to see something that would, you know, that's his sister. We understand that. But you also have to realize that, you know, these were young boys. This is what was happening. So here's another video where the LA DA talks about the resentencing. Oh, crap. Hold on, y'all. Jeez. Hold on. Me personally, I feel that these boys should be freed, and maybe this will send a message, and you should be able to connect the dots. It makes sense. The father was an executive at RCA Records. Okay, what's going on?
Let me begin by telling you that this is a case where we've had many people in this office spend a great deal of time reviewing the case. I have to tell you unequivocally that we don't have a universal agreement. There are people in the office that strongly believe that the Menendez brothers should stay in prison the rest of their life, and they do not believe that they were molested. And there are people in the office that strongly believe that they should be released immediately, and that they were in fact molested. I have to tell you that after a very careful review of all the arguments that were made for people on both sides of this equation, I came to a place where I believe that under the law, resentencing is appropriate, and I am going to recommend that to a court tomorrow. What that means in this particular case is that we're going to recommend to the court that the life without the possibility of parole be removed, and that they would be sentenced for murder, which, because there are two murders involved, that would be 50 years to life. However, because of their age, under the law, since they were under 26 years of age at the time that these crimes occurred, they will be eligible for parole immediately.
Free them. Free them, boys. Free them. Free them. Now, hold on. I got another video. These are the key factors cited. Hey, Jill. When Cat Williams said 2024, everything.
I know that there are going to be other speakers.
Hold on.
Los Angeles County District Attorney George Gascon making the announcement that the Menendez brothers, who killed their parents back in the late 80s, will be eligible for resentencing. He will essentially go to the court tomorrow and petition for the resentencing of the brothers, saying because of their age, Laura Jarrett, let me bring you into this, because of their age, they could be eligible to be released virtually immediately.
Yes, because of their age at the time of the murders, they were under 26 years old, just 21 and 18 at the time. That makes them eligible for parole. So let's talk about the reasons that were offered, which are really fascinating if you think about it, Lester. This is a district attorney who campaigned on reform, who has sort of been at the front tier of resentencing efforts like this, facing an enormous amount of pressure from the public, from celebrities to look at this case, and he's laying out the abuse that he says he believes that they suffered at the hands of their father, something that did not come in that second trial. It did come in the first, but not in the second trial. Also talking about the amount of time that they've been behind bars. Obviously, as you said, they were convicted in 1996, have been behind bars for more than 3 decades now, and those two factors leading him to advocating for them to be resentenced now. Under the law, you can be resentenced for what's known in the interest of justice. That's the standard. And one of the criteria is when somebody who is alleging a physical or sexual abuse, like in this case, was not allowed to present that evidence in the time of the original sentencing. And so that's part of the factors that Gascon is mentioning here, talking about how cultural norms on that issue.
Right, and Gascon said he's not making excuses for them, in fact, but he says they have paid their dues. That's his assessment of making this decision. I want to talk about something else we heard here. He was very clear that there is opposition within the DA's office as to whether this is a proper decision, and he suggested that we will see or hear from some of those people from his office when this case goes to the court tomorrow.
Yeah, so pretty interesting and frankly, interesting strategies to sort of get out ahead of what would likely be certain reporting by us and I'm sure other outlets who would be hearing from sources who would be saying there is dissension within the office on this, a split, if you will, about whether they should face resentencing. He said there are people in the office who do not believe that they were actually molested. There are people in the office who believe that they should get out today. And he's suggesting that Gascon is suggesting that people might actually come and testify or at least present their arguments to the judge tomorrow or in the coming weeks about why they should not be resentenced. Obviously, he believes that they should be. He believes that they should not die in prison. But it would be interesting to hear from members of his office who are currently there if they do choose to actually go in front of the judge and make that case.
So, what do you guys think? I think these boys should be free. There were relatives that knew about the abuse that spoke up. Hold on. Yeah, there were family members that that say that this did happen, that they knew about it. Hold on. Let's see if this is video or this is on 48 hours. Let's see. Hold on. And the brothers, their names are Lyle. Hold on. There's an ad. Eric and Lyle Menendez. But they're known as the Menendez brothers. Okay. Come on.
You have a prepaid call from Lyle Menendez. My name is Lyle Menendez. I'm in Virginia Donovan State Prison in San Diego, California, and I am here for killing my parents. My brother and I were convicted together.
First-degree murder verdicts for both Eric and Lyle Menendez. This is a special report from the Van Nuys courthouse. Both Menendez brothers have been found guilty.
How big a deal was the Menendez case?
Well, when you think back, it was huge. The Menendez family was very wealthy. This was Beverly Hills. Murders just don't typically happen.
Kitty was my baby sister. It was a brutal murder.
Everyone from the gardener to the president had a view of what happened. I'm Jackie Lacey. I'm the former elected district attorney of Los Angeles County. The couple was sitting around watching TV when their adult sons came in with shotguns and slaughtered them. What did these parents do to deserve that? There must be a reason.
It's never been a case of kids are innocent. It was always about why it happened.
Menendez was the self-made millionaire. He was very driven, very demanding. the prosecution's theory was they got tired of their lives being micromanaged. They wanted to spend the money the way they wanted to spend the money. They were buying Rolex watches. They were buying real estate. The way that they acted was not like, oh my goodness, my parents are dead. It was soulless.
It was strictly greed from day one.
You believe they wanted a portion of the money?
They wanted it all.
Okay, so that's on the brother. I'm trying to find. Oh boy.
Cliff Gardner. I represent Eric and Lyle Menendez. It's not a complex case. It's a simple case. They were abused their whole life.
My dad had been molesting me.
Hey, right?
Did you ask him not to?
Yes.
The brothers were claiming that we were molested by our father when we threatened to go public. They threatened
Yes,
to kill us,
it is,
so we had
Jill.
to kill them before they killed us.
I thought he was going to kill me that night. I never saw anything at all. Never. I have got to think that it was there.
So that's the mother's brother, and you do have. Okay, so I'm trying to find the video where the cousins are standing by it was family that knew that this was going on, which this is sad. Oh, I know, but why I report on this, because Jill, this type of stuff is going on even though it's big news, it's going on in our communities. It's still going on. People don't believe the victims, and you can connect the dots now. So just waiting on this other video. I think I found the one. And the father had been accused of raping somebody. A former member of the boy band. I'm gonna let you see. See, a former member of the boy band Menudo, Roy Rosella, claimed that he was raped by their father. See, Jose Menendez was a record executive, and we see what's going on now. So, we can connect these dots, or we see all of these powerful people being arrested now, bringing those awareness. And the cousins that knew this, they were scared. They were scared. But in the first trial, where it was a hung jury, they allowed the evidence of being, sexuallymolest by the father. They allowed that to be held in evidence. They allowed that evidence to be shown. So, okay, hold on.
Number one, Roy Rosello, who was a member or a then member of the band Menudo, it took great courage at Nuri's finding him and talking to him to sign a declaration that said that he too was assaulted by the father, and not only assaulted, but it happened at the house. The reason that's important is that it corroborates what was testified to in trial number one. That it corroborates the fact that the safe place that Jose thought he had was in the house. It corroborates what the family members said was the very uncomfortable rule in that house, that you could not go down the hallway if Jose was with one of the boys. That was the ground upon which he prayed. We have those two items. Now, there is a separate track. About 3 months ago, we sent a petition. And mind you, the DA's office, there's been those who have said, well, this is election nearing, blah, blah, blah. We filed this. The DA has been, Mr. Gascon's office has been engaged with us productively, strongly, for well over a year. Joan, who you will hear from in about 5 minutes, we actually, because of her young age, turns 93 next month, we had what's a very rare thing done back in December, which is called a conditional examination. It's a deposition in a criminal case to preserve her testimony. She was there with her lawyer, Brian Friedman, who represents the family. And what we are also on a parallel track doing is asking, and have been asking, the DA to look at the work they have done and resentence them, to support the resentencing. Now, when I say the work they have done, Lyle and Eric have started, mind you, since 2005, up until the time that Judge Ryan issued the request for an informal reply, have had no hope of ever getting out. Since 2005, they had exhausted all legal remedies. They had resigned themselves to being in prison for the rest of their lives. You can take two tracks on that. You can either just become a hardcore, irreconcilable recidivist, or you can do what they've done, which is create programs, counsel people, develop amazing programs, mentoring people, go to college, get degrees. Lyle, in fact, graduated from the first ever class in June. I watched it, of a combination of UCI along with the Department of Corrections. The first class, Mr. Friedman and I were there, of 22 prisoners who got their BA degree while in prison, and a bunch of them life without parole. So there is an idea that there is redemption. There is an idea with their Green Space project of rehabilitation. I will tell you, in over 40 years of doing this, I have never seen the amazing, exemplary rehabilitation and mitigation evidence that we have now presented to the DA's office. We're going to hear from the family today briefly, and I will tell you, I'll give you kind of a coming attraction. I will start with Anna Maria. She will tell you exactly the genealogy. We have over 20 relatives, both Kitty and Jose's sides of the family. This is virtually unprecedented in my practice, and I would dare say it anywhere, that 20 family members on both sides, victims, constitutional victims under Marcy's law, are here to urge the DA to resentence. When, after they're finished speaking to you today, we will then, Mr. Friedman will take them across the street to the Hall of Justice, and they will go through what Gascon does in resentencing.
This is awful. You know, the family knew. I'm not going to hold y'all long. If y'all want to, y'all can look at this. But you have both sides of the family.
And I've said it once, I've said it twice.
Hold on.
And sisters, they would not. We have evolved. It's time.
Sorry.
And without further ado, I'm going to introduce
you. Had both families unite. See,
good afternoon, everyone. Buenas tardes. My name is Ana Maria Barral. I am the niece of Jose Menendez. I stand before you today not just as a member of the Menendez family, but as someone who believes in truth, justice, and healing. Before I get started, I just want to say that I know this is an election season, but for us, this is not a political issue. This is about truth, justice, and healing. On behalf of our whole family, it is my honor to formally introduce our new coalition, Justice for Eric and Lyle. Like so many others, I struggled to process the events of that fateful August day and the loss that I felt. Over time, it became clear that there were two other victims there on that day, my cousins Lyle and Eric. Lyle and Eric would continue to be victimized. They would be victims of a system that wouldn't hear them. And they would be victims of a culture that was not ready to listen. They would be mocked.
Okay, so you guys can look that up. This is awful. You know, again, these are those uncomfortable conversations that I like to have on my channel. There is no way. And again, I'm not the same person I was in my 20s, in my 30s, in my 40s, in my 50s and 60s. Hell, I change sometimes every week with my opinion. No, that's just a joke. But, you know, these people knew what was going on. But at the same time, they loved their uncles. Like they loved them, but they knew what had happened. But geez, 30 years? It took you guys 30 years? I mean, you know, thank God they're still alive. I mean, thank God that these boys are still alive. Still alive. Because this is freaking awful. That even the relatives knew. They knew, like, if he had one of them boys, you don't go down there in that room. They knew what was going on. They knew. Strict instructions. And you can look this up some more. So both sides, other than the Mrs. Menendez, who was the mother, her name was Kitty. The parents' names are Jose and Kitty Menendez. So she knew this was going on. She was just as guilty. So her brother can say whatever he wants to. I understand that was your sister. I hope you can process one day that your sister allowed her sons to be great by their father. Which all of this stuff is just sickening. And then he was a record executive for RCA. All of these rich, powerful, famous people that have been alleged of touching children, and now they're coming out with allegations of their own children. I feel sorry for both sides because surely this is a sickness. You know. So we seen the ex the ex-guy of Abercrombie and Fitch, be arrested. He's 80, but he was able to get out on $10 million bail. So we're seeing all of this stuff come out to play. We're seeing it right before our eyes. I'm going to tell y'all something. I'm so glad they solving a lot of these cases now, so we can actually know, thank goodness for social media. Thank goodness for the technology. Thank good for people that's keeping some of these cases, because maybe one day um, we will find out who killed Biggie, also known as the Notorious Big, well, Biggie Smalls, Notorious B.I.G., real name Christopher Wallace. Hopefully we'll find out who really unalived Tupac Shakur. Hopefully we'll find out what really happened with JFK. We already know what happened with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. And so I'm just thankful. And you know that first trial, hey, that first trial when they had the hung jury, the evidence of them being molested and great by their father was allowed. So, see, this is another thing that I'm not really liking now. Some of these DAs and prosecutors, when they have their mind made up that somebody is guilty, it don't matter. They don't even care about the evidence. It's what they believe. Oh, they were rich boys. That the way they were spending their money didn't seem like kids that had been great. Well, you ain't never been rich and left a whole lot of money. You were never great by your father and able to just go out and do what you want to do. So how can you make that assumption? How can you make that assumption? So they retried these boys. That's the sad part. So they went back in for the second trial, and they did not allow that evidence in because it didn't matter to some of those people that was working on this case. They never they never you know they have their mind set up like they did it. They were rich. Nah, this couldn't have happened. And the man said today, like, they still have people in that office that don't believe none of this stuff happened. When you get relatives of the brothers have said for years that the brothers were raised in a turbulent household and were subjected to physical, emotional, and sexual abuse at the hands of their parents. Now, I don't know. Hey, King Miller, hey, I bring it. I don't know what else to tell people. Relatives from both sides, after they had to process it, you know, they've been working for a while on trying to get them free. And they knew what was going on. They knew it. Now we know, again, like I say, when you got those favorite uncles, and this guy was rich and famous, not famous, but he was rich because he was the RCA record executive. So, I'm pretty sure they probably went through, well, they didn't need to unalive him. Well, I'm sorry. I'm on this thing now because I don't understand how some of these people that have done something to children, I'm like, they still walking around? Because I know some people that's going to take somebody out that mess with their kids. Okay? Maybe if they start unaliving them, maybe they'll stop doing this mess. Because this don't make no sense. This is too much. Every day in the news, we are seeing rich, famous Hollywood. We're seeing these people being picked up. We see it affecting people of all races, color, and creed. It's a child thing. It's not a race thing. We see people knowing what's going on and never say anything. Lord have mercy. You can't make this stuff up. You can't make it up. Now I feel a different way. I don't know how I would have felt, maybe 30 years ago. I don't know, how I would have felt. Because, see, I haven't been in those shoes. I'm just giving an opinion. And so, if you loved your aunt and uncle or your cousin, so much, they probably had to process, well, they shouldn't have unalived them, even though they knew what they was doing. So all of this, all of these, the relatives of the brothers on both sides, I want y'all to get this. Both sides of the family, okay? Both sides of the family unite. They united to say, hey, they need to be released. Because after they went through their healing, their therapy, to think of what these boys went through, I just thank God. Thank the higher power. Thank the universe. Thank all the people that have been in support of them. I thank the family for coming together, because they had to come to terms. Like, they don't know, like I don't know. We all say what we would do, But until we've been in those shoes, talk is cheap. So I can say what I would do, but I have not been in those shoes. So if that's what those boys felt at the time, tired, your father, your father, like, this is crazy. And what makes it so bad, the relatives knew, this is awful. So all of you people, when people come and I say, for one, I was guilty of this, but society has made it. It's funny, the same ones that are trying to convict them, but they're still trying to make them look good, or they'll find the fake people, the ones that lied, and the ones that are telling the truth don't get the justice. So these boys were telling the truth. I remember that boy crying on the stand. This is awful. And so I'm glad that they did well in prison. I'm glad that they are still um, alive. I hope they are in great health. Um, Being in prison for 34 years, losing your whole youth. I mean, because your parents were some sick people. And so I'm glad the family united. Um, I'm glad that everything is being rebuilt. So, what I need my audience to take from this case is that please don't let somebody sit in jail for 34 years and you can help them. People have got to start looking through the world through everybody's eyes. It's unfortunate that they said enough was enough, and their only way out was to unalive them. Now, I can say, oh, that's awful, they did that. I can say that's a shame, but being raped by your father, baby, and the family knew. It didn't happen to me. I haven't went through. I went through some abuse, but it wasn't by a parent. That hits different. Can you imagine being a slave? A ex slave to your parents? To your daddy every night? Maybe 3 times a night? People coming over. He'll take one of the boys back there and they would come out crying. They knew what was going on. Nobody said nothing. So the family, like I said, this is what she said. Now I think our understandings of who can be a victim of XEXUAL abuse have changed. And what that can lead to has changed. So it took them all 34 years. 34 years. It took the family to finally say, you know what? They were victims. And it didn't happen to us. We don't know what we would have did. It took them all 34 years to come together. A lot of them had to go to therapy, which I'm pretty sure they did. You know, you got 2 cousins sitting in prison and you knew what was going on in the house. Oh my God, Father, forgive them for they do not know. This is just awful. Awful. Oh my God. So I hope the Menendez brothers are released. I'm so glad the family came together, you know, and united. I'm pretty sure they're forgiving them. I'm pretty sure they're probably like, as long as I'm out. But then again, some of them might say, you let me stay in prison for 34 years and you knew what happened. So I'm pretty sure they've all forgiven each other because they have worked so hard to get them out. But let me tell you something. Until you have walked in somebody's shoes, none of us, we can say what we would do, but baby, I don't know what I would have done if I had been being raped by my father and we don't know what the mother was doing. And you can connect the dots. The father was an RCA record producer. You know, you got the brother who's mad, but you have her sister. You have Miss Kitty, who is the mother. Her brother wants them to stay in prison, but the sister says no, release them, because I do know they were being abused. Hey, Jester T. Hey Albert, I dropped the link if you wanted to come up, Flawless. Do you guys see in the year of 2024, like it's been so much stuff that has come out and it's dealing with children? The higher power, the universe, everybody, they mad y'all messing with these kids. Save our children. Save our children. I need these kids to be okay because I plan on living to be 100. Okay? I need these kids to have some nice childhoods, not to be on Xanax and all kind of drugs because they've got to deal with what you sick adults didn't get treatment for. Nobody said something is wrong. Let's try to fix this problem because these people have a mental illness as well. See, I look at the world through everybody's eyes. You've got to be sick. You got to be mentally ill for this type of behavior. And this stuff is going on in your communities. Um, Too bad Purple Rain isn't in here tonight because Purple Rain has just come out and talked about what her father, and I have to say has allegedly done, but she is telling her story and nobody wants to believe her. Some people want you to take secrets to the grave. Hey, Amber, they want you to take these type of secrets to the grave or keep up some stupid image like I had the perfect mother, I had the perfect father. We were a perfect family. You can't tell me they did this or they did that. Again, I need y'all to see this. Both sides. Both sides of the Menendez relative. Both sides of the family united to get these boys out of prison. They knew about it, but it took them 34 years to process. Well, maybe some longer than others, where they had to finally say, you know what, we've never been a victim. We've never been a victim. So we can't say what we would do. This is, oh my goodness, save our children. So what I need for y'all to take from this show is when somebody tell you something, you need to believe them or halfway believe them or do some research. You can start watching or tell them if you don't believe them, well, you know what? Set them up. Baby, nah, baby, I don't, it's not like I don't believe you. But sometimes some people need to see some evidence on their own. Don't say that nobody did it. If you gonna have a hard time believing when somebody comes to you and says that they have been molested great by somebody, and you have a hard time believing it since it's your husband, your daddy, your cousin, or something, say, okay, come in my room tonight at this time. So 34 years these boys sat in prison. And one of the cousins knew because it happened to one of the cousins. And it took him years to just say it had happened to him. See, they had their first trial. It ended in a hung jury in 1993. The public was so ready, and these stupid DAs and prosecutors, everybody, you know, they don't look at life fair neither. They look at it like they way. Oh, they are rich kids. They couldn't have did that. They did it to spend their money. Mm, 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 mm. So they were retried in 1995, but the judge in 1995, I want y'all to see this. No, wait a minute, because I'm trying to get y'all some like, see. After the first trial, it was a hung jury. Then they retried him again. And so that judge didn't allow the sexual abuse claims to be in that second trial. Yeah, I bring it every day. This is crazy. So see, while you got these people, because just like right now, there's some people right now, you can't tell them nothing about Kamala Harris. They don't care. You know, I'm going to drop the link in case anybody wants to come up. I mean, their father was a record producer. If anybody remembers the group Menudo, however you say it, Menudo, one of those boys said that Jose Menendez had raped him. This is crazy. What are you going to do? What are you going to do when one of your relatives comes to you and tell you this is happening to them? I hope my shows help people to be able to have these conversations. Like I say, if you have a hard time believing them, say, I love you, I believe you, but maybe I need to see. What are you going to do when you know, when you know that your cousin or your brother or your sister was being abused and you let them sit in prison because you've never been a victim? It's a lot to take in. They can't get back them years. So here we have the case, the Menendez. We can see right now that messing with kids comes in all races. All races, all classes of people, all colors, creed. It don't discriminate. It does not discriminate. They are after the kids. It is so many innocent people that are in prison now. It's awful. So many people in prison that are innocent too. Whether it's from unaliving people to the Crime Act bill that sent all people that was addicted to cocaine, to robberies, to everything where they've been framed. And I'm going to tell you something. There is no way. I have a conscience. Some of these people, they're soulless. They're soulless. But whoever initiated the Menendez family to say, you know what, we know what was happening. We can't allow them to be in prison anymore because we never was victims. So we can't say what we would do. I thank them. So let me go back. Let me read the comments. Okay. Oh, Shatika. Joshua said, hey. When Michelle dropped in, flawless, Queen Michelle, and I'm yet to watch the documentary or documentary, however you say it. I gotta watch a movie tonight called Civil War. Oh, Miss Jill stopped in. Y'all go check out Miss Jill if you're into poetry. She's starting her poetry contest soon. See? Flawless said, see, this is what I'm talking about. People knew and didn't do nothing. Jill Comfort Jones says, "Oh, trust me, I know what's going on. Hey, I bring it." She spoke to everybody. Albert, Justin T, Amber, whoop, 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 Albert, whoop, whoop. Everybody, whoop, whoop, whoop. Hey, James Money. Yes, I bring it every day. It's crazy. Yes, we are in the days of truth now. But see, the thing of it is everything being exposed, everybody ain't ready to deal with it. You got some people that feel like some secrets should be taken to the grave. And follow the money. See, people can set the narrative to whatever they want, to look however they want it to be. And that's what they can do. You know, people know you, they talk to a few people like me, they can say, "Oh, she cusses, you make her mad. She a nice person." But once she done had enough, she gonna snap. So they'll take that and build a whole narrative about me. It is a lie about the government having the military being able to unalive us or point that rifle at them. Hey, James Money. Hey, Justin T. Yeah. So, yeah, y'all, this is something else that's been revealed and it makes perfect sense now. You know, the father was a record executive in that music industry, you know, connected dots. This was a Mexican family. So we've had Mexican, whites, and blacks do all kind of foul stuff. It does not discriminate. So I don't want nobody talking about, "Oh, it's this thing, it's that thing." You seeing them all races. And let me tell you something, baby. I don't know what I would have did when some people feel like enough is enough. Enough is enough. These were young kids. They were young when this happened. I think they were 19, 21, 22. It had been done. We don't know if it was done their entire lives. You know, maybe they couldn't even get a girlfriend. We got some sick people. Hold on, y'all. We have some sick people in the world that need to be in therapy. You know, people need to bring up their sickness, but no, some people go along with it. Ain't nobody holding nobody accountable But when somebody gets to unaliving them, they want to throw them in prison or when they get told off or different things. But you didn't talk about them when they was doing stuff to other people. But now you got something to say about the victims? I made a 360-degree turn. Well, I should never say I never believed in women being victims. I ain't made no 365-degree turn. It's just everybody in that R. Kelly documentary. I, in that first one, you had the Clary family, you had the girl that left her family, uh, left her kids in hotels chasing after them. I don't think they had real victims on there. So that's what the problem was. You had all of the grimy ones. I mean, they got on the stand and said they lied, but now they're credible witnesses. Hey, V. So we want to thank goodness that the Menendez brothers are safe. I hope they get released tomorrow. You know, I might say, why did it take the family 34 years? Well, it had to take them maybe. We really don't know. The boys have been in prison for 34 years. So we don't know when both sides of the family united, for them to be released. Because Denise did say a lot of them had to go to therapy. They had to heal, but they knew that these boys was innocent. I want everybody to have a great night. I want y'all to think about what would you do if your family member cousins said this was going on, and would you sit back knowing that this is going on and not say anything? Would you allow somebody to be in prison because they unalived somebody for raping them and you knew this was going on? Deep, ain't it? Because there are some justified. So, you think justified, not innocent? Hmm. Like I said, we don't know what we going to do. It didn't happen to me, but I know I probably would, your daddy? Your daddy. Amber, don't nobody want to come up tonight? Cause if not, I'ma end the show. Cause my little brain it's just on overload this year. Cat Williams didn't tell me all of this was gonna happen. He just said everything was gonna be exposed. I'm looking at everybody in the music industry. Oh, okay. Hey, Grateful. You said, well, jail must be the new mental health treatment for the time being, everyone. Yeah, and that's unfortunate because jail doesn't fix anything. I think they might offer programs in jail. So, Grateful, what do you think about these Menendez brothers? Hey, Tamika, this is unreal. Unreal. So, you guys can look it all up. I'm glad both sides of the family um, finally did come together. It's what I find, what I'm really starting to find is just like we have our opinions, right? Say on different subjects that we talk about on different subjects. Like you can't tell some people Kamala Harris ain't black. That's the big subject. Everybody's arguing, fussing, and fighting. Some people not even talking to each other. So you can take that as an example of how these people want to jail people because they feel the way they feel. And because the DA thought that since they were rich kids, that there's no way that they father could be doing this. They're rich, they have everything. Then when they unalived them, they went out spending their money and everything. hmm Yeah, they have been jailing services. Yeah, they've been jailing versus having true mental health. They unalived their parents, Amber. This happened in 1989. I remember it because this was like a big case. I remember seeing them boys cry on TV. And I was like, look at them little boys. I'm like, they were crying. They were saying, like, every night, whenever, like, they had to be made available to their father. Wasn't nobody hearing that back then in the 80s. 89 is when they unalived them. So, you couldn't tell nobody nothing. They wasn't talking about this stuff. Oh my God, why would you tell people? Um, oh my goodness, you didn't unalive your parents because of this? But so we're gonna be positive. You know, the boys are getting out. They can have family restoration. Um, you know, it'll and I pray that they have a great future. Um, Just please release them. Freedom. And for you people in that DA office that still don't believe what happened, y'all don't need jobs. If you have family members that said it happened, both sides done united, and y'all still want to say, oh, this didn't happen. You need to resign from your jobs. You're sick and pathetic too. If you can't look at the evidence that was presented, and just to think that you have these type of people making decisions, oh my goodness, makes me think maybe 3/4 of the people that's in prison might be innocent. But anyway, I thank y'all for joining me. You know, I'm just keeping y'all informed. Like I say, you know, I talk about rich people problems because this isn't a rich person problem. This is a child problem. Children being taken advantage of. And it does not matter their race, color, or creed. Save our children. This is April showers. And as much as I hate to talk about this stuff, I know it might trigger some people, but at this time in my life, I just feel like I need to talk about the uncomfortable conversations that people don't want to talk about, and maybe we can make them comfortable. Because I do feel like communication is lacking. We don't talk about a whole lot of things. So this is April showers, and I'm signing off. Everybody have a great night. Just remember what I asked you to take from this show. You know, like I said, the good points is the family is, you know, family restoration. They'll be released. I pray they will. I hope it's tomorrow. Uh, I'm saying they're gonna be released about time I wake up in the morning. I don't care what those DAs, some people that still don't believe them, you know, like I said, you can connect the dots to this case. Jose Menendez, you know, great, a member of the boy band Menudo, Roy Rosello, when he was a record executive, and he great, one of those. And of course, back in the 80s, you know, people didn't want to face this. This stuff has been going on for years, years, years. Start talking about it and be about it. This is April Showers, and I'm out.